Welcome to Blood Moon Milk, the astrology show that comes out every new and full moon to help guide you on your mindfulness, meditation, and manifestation journey. I'm Aurora. I've been studying astrology since way back in 2008. So it's been a minute and I've learned a lot. So thank you for joining me and my musings on the new moon in Leo that's coming up on July 24th, just a few days from now. I have been traveling and Mercury went retrograde yesterday, and I recorded this episode with no sound the first time. So I definitely got hit with that Mercury retrograde stick. So forgive me for this being out a smidgen later than I would have liked. I also just got back from traveling. I was lucky enough to go to Europe and I got to visit Paris, Venice, Naples, and Madrid, which was a real dream come true for me. So let's look at this new moon in Leo coming up. But first, I've got a couple little housekeeping things. If you're new and you haven't been here before, welcome. I also write the daily dose. So if you like astrology and you want something that's consistent, I'm not always super consistent on social media, but the daily dose has been coming out consistently since 2018. It comes out Monday through Friday. It lands in your inbox at 6 a.m. and it's just $7.99 a month if you head over to bloodmoonmilk.com and see the button that says subscribe to the daily dose. You can subscribe there, and it is dollar for dollar one of the best things you can do for your peace of mind, because I tell you all the most interesting, relevant astrological transits of the day and useful tips on how to implement them into your life, along with just levity, so people love it. It helps them stay grounded and consistent. They read it over their coffee in the morning. It's also a great way to learn a little bit about astrology every day, and you get to know your chart better and better the more you use it. So that's a really wonderful way to support me. You can also gift subscriptions to your friends. Just let me know that you'd like to do that. Shoot me an email, message me, and I can help sort that out for you. Also, one more announcement, and then we'll jump into the astrology stuff. I'm going to be doing a really cool workshop in New York. I'll be in Manhattan on August 8th with a good friend of mine, and we'll be offering a combination astrology, meditation, sound bath with Reiki. It'll be about a 2 hour long event on August 8th in Manhattan. I'll have the details up on my website shortly. If you click on the big pink button that says workshop, the only workshop that's available right now is that one in New York. And once this goes out and is live, I will have the link to the workshop up. So not quite sure what the price is going to be yet, but we want to make it accessible and affordable for anybody who'd like to join. So it's going to be reasonable. So check in with that if you're going to be in the New York area on August 8th. I'd love to see you. Okay, let's go ahead and jump into the astrology for this really beautiful new moon in Leo. It's going to be one of the best new moons of the year. I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen now, and I'll tell you why it's going to be so great. Okay, 1 second. Okie dokie. I'm gonna just shift this camera over here for a second so I can see my screen. Okay, so you should be able to see my screen. This is the chart for the new moon in Leo. It's going to be happening on Thursday, July 24th, 2025 at 3:11 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. So if you are on the East Coast, then take this chart into consideration, and make sure that you're looking at where the new moon is falling for you. Check out which house it's going to be falling into. So if you're new here, these little slices of the pie are the houses. And so unless you're a Scorpio rising at 16 degrees, this new moon chart will be falling in different houses for you. So that's why I say look at where the new moon is falling at, or full moon, whatever is happening in your chart, compared to your natal planets because it will be different for everyone. Now, this new moon is in the sign of Leo. Leo is ruled by the sun. Now, the sun is the it is the reason we all exist, right? I mean, the sun literally is its own power source. It is a nuclear engine. It's the reason we're all here. And so it is becoming, having its own reset for us here on Earth. We're starting all new things in the sign of Leo. Now, if you're like a Leo at 0 or 1 degrees, this is probably going to be, I mean, it'll still be impactful for you, but everybody else is going to be feeling this no matter what, but it'll be super impactful for you if you are a Leo at 2 degrees, within 5 degrees of that. Also, Cancer, out of sign conjunctions also apply here. But if you are a fire sign or an air sign at 2, 3, 4, 5 degrees, in either direction of 2 degrees of these signs, then you're likely to be feeling this new beginning cycle in a profound way. And it's a beautiful, beautiful new moon. And let's get into why. Well, the first thing that I see when I look at this new moon is this very powerful opposition with Pluto. Now, if you've been listening to me for a while, you know that Pluto shifted into the sign of Aquarius way back in November 19th, 2024. And Aquarius is the sign of the humanitarian. It's a sign of the rebellious, revolutionary idea of for the people. It's grassroots power, reclaiming their individual sovereignty. Now, Leo also has to do with sovereignty. It has to do with leadership and rulership. And so, with Pluto being in opposition to this new moon, this is a whole new beginning for how we integrate leadership, both internally and externally, how we work together as a group, but also how we show up on an individual level for the greater good of humanity, but also how we do that with integrity from our heart space. So that's what this new moon, like the strongest message, if you take nothing else away from this new moon, that's the biggest, strongest, clearest message to me because of this opposition with Pluto. Now, oppositions are often difficult, but they are worth working through. And I think that now more than ever, we need to reclaim our individual sovereignty and think about what's good for the group of humanity as a collective whole, and really meditate on that from a heart-centered perspective. And if we do nothing else other than that during this new moon cycle, we're going to be on the right path. So that's it. That's all I've got for you. Just kidding. There's a ton more coming. Okay, so Pluto, again, I don't often start with Pluto, but in this case, because this opposition is so close to exactitude, Pluto's at 2 degrees, 36 minutes. The new moon, sun, moon conjunction in Leo is at 2 degrees, 8 minutes. That is very, very close to being perfectly exact. So this tells me that we are primed for a sort of revolution of our internal and external perspectives of what leadership looks like. And remember that Pluto is all about death, rebirth, and transformation. So there could even be some sort of symbolic, very public rebirth transformation events that take place on the world stage during this new moon cycle. Now, it's going to ask us all to show up with integrity because Leo has to do with integrity, and so does Pluto, and definitely so does Aquarius. Now, Aquarius is also the sign of the youth and beauty. It's one of the, so while Venus is, of course, known for ruling all things beautiful, Aquarius and Ganymede were also signs and symbols of youthful beauty. So this is something that could be playing out. It could be that the youth and the young people and the beautiful people of the world are coming together to speak out for the good of everybody as a group, as a whole, in a way that's very public, that's being met with a lot of opposition from the establishment. But as long as we're doing it with heart and with integrity and love, we are on the right path. And so that's gonna be the biggest vibe, I think, during this new moon. But we've also got this other very interesting setup here. We've got Saturn and Neptune nearly conjunct each other in the sign of Aries at 1 and 2 degrees, almost exactly 2 degrees, where this would be perfectly trine to this new moon. So, what is Saturn? Saturn is karma. He's the stern father figure of the zodiac, as I like to say. And he's limits, he's boundaries, but he's also teaching us how to create structures that last. Neptune, of the other hand, is all about dreams and the things that the etheric nature of the universe that connects all of us through creativity. So that's art, music, but it's just the liminal space in between. It's subconscious. It's sort of nebulous. So Neptune and Saturn are kind of very different energies, but they're nearly conjunct here, working together in the sign of Aries to create a grand dream that has structure. Now it's trining this new moon, so that means that this energy is benefiting this new beginning that is being challenged by this sort of revolutionary spirit. And so don't the new moon is being challenged, but it's working with Pluto is working with Saturn and Neptune here. So don't be discouraged by Pluto. Pluto is actually giving us some air to fuel the fire of this new beginning. The other thing to notice is that we have, so far, we've talked about 3 planets and that are all retrograde. So Pluto is retrograde at 2 degrees, Neptune is retrograde at 2 degrees, Saturn is retrograde at 1 degree, almost 2 degrees of Aries. And then we have up here Mercury, who I mentioned earlier, got me good earlier today. He's retrograde at 13 degrees of Leo. So he's not conjunct this new moon, but he is definitely playing a role in getting us to think back and internalize and reflect on the things that we've done creatively, romantically, because Leo does rule the heart, and also where our sense of joy comes from. How is it that we express creativity and joy? And also children. So this could be literal children in your life, but also your own inner child. We all have one. So this could be a beautiful time to revisit creative projects from the past that need to be reworked or reincorporated. I have this sort of idea, or I just like the thought, the concept of ideas being somewhat sentient, inspiration, if you will, muses being sentient enough that they're looking for a conduit to be birthed into the world, to become manifest in this density, in this realm. And so while Mercury is retrograde, it's an unusually creative time for us to be reflective of past projects that might want to still come to life in some way, but maybe they had to be shelved for one reason or another. But that also means that, unfortunately, some of this new energy that's coming in during this new moon might be off to a bit of a rocky start, because even though we have so much harmony between Saturn and Neptune and Pluto, and the sun and moon, that Mercury in retrograde is kind of like having us be in our feelings a little bit. So not necessarily a bad thing to be in our feelings. Our feelings are here to guide us in the right direction. They're not just chemicals in our brains, folks. They are actually divinely inspired little nudges from the universe as to the right path to take. And it's going to be different for everybody. So just be aware of that. Also, while Mercury is retrograde, try to avoid making big, impulsive financial decisions. Um, Avoid signing contracts. And try to just delay any big decisions until Mercury is direct. There will be better timing for making purchases that have to do with technology or making big trips. Now, I'm going to be traveling during Mercury retrograde, but it can't be helped. You know, some these things just happen. You just kind of have to prepare yourself for there to be the inevitable delay here and there during the course of a Mercury retrograde cycle, and reflect on what it shows you. And try to appreciate the delay because it it can give you time to think and consider things you might not actually have had a chance to think about otherwise. So look for the silver linings, you know? Okay, what else is going on during this new moon that we should take a look at? Well, we also have we've talked a lot about the outer planets because they're very strong. The energy is very, very strong right now. And retrograde planets are actually closer to us. And this includes Mercury. Mercury retrograde, if um he is actually closer to us when he's retrograde than he would be otherwise when he's direct. So his energy is more highly potent because he is physically closer to us in space, which is why he looks like he is going backwards through the sign of Leo right now. But it's an optical illusion. Astrology is a geocentric study, which means that it has to do with our perspective from here on planet Earth. So our perspective of the way Mercury looks colors the way his energy is integrated into our energetic wavelengths. So this is a pretty strong new beginning signature that we're experiencing during this new moon, especially with that Pluto opposition, especially when you incorporate Saturn and Neptune into it as well. But we also have Uranus here at 0 degrees 41 minutes of the sign of Gemini. Now, this is almost perfectly trine to Pluto. Pluto in Aquarius is an air sign. So this is an air sign trine, and we've got a fire sign trine going on too. So if you're an air sign or a fire sign with planetary placements in those first couple of degrees, so 0, 1, 2, 3 degrees of any of the fire signs, you're feeling the impact of these planets pretty profoundly right now. I am personally, my sun is at 5 degrees of Sagittarius, and I haven't quite felt the impact yet, but I feel like it's coming. You know, I know it's coming. It'll likely be next year when this stuff starts to integrate for me personally. I kind of feel like I'm closing a lot of cycles out right now and chapters. But there's a whole new story that is probably about to be revealed and unraveled to me personally over the next 12 to 24 months. I just don't know what it is yet, but that's, you know, neither here nor there, but I'll let you know when I figure it out. Um, so Uranus at 0 degrees Gemini. This is a whole new cycle. He's going to be here for the next 6, 7, 8 years or so. And so Taurus people, you've experienced the last 6 years. I think it was since 2017, 18, when Uranus moved into Taurus. And you all experienced this very dramatic shift over the last 6, 7 years or so. But now it's your turn, Gemini. But generally speaking, Uranus likes to be in an air sign. It rules the sign of Aquarius where Pluto is. So we have this sort of sense of mutual reciprocation, at least from the Uranian side, working with Pluto here. But Pluto is revolutionary and it changes things. Um, it 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 crumbles things that have outlived its usefulness and forces circumstances to come to a head, to be reborn, to be regenerated. Now, Uranus is rebellious. So there is a sense of rebellion that is bubbling up, and it's certainly going to be a social rebellion because Gemini is the social sign. It likes to communicate, it likes to chat. So the thing about Gemini is that it wants to know everybody's opinion, but Uranus is here to throw a kink, throw a sort of wheel and a wrench in the spokes of the wheel. I can't get that out for some reason, but it just wants to get people communicating in new, unexpected ways. Uranus is also the planet of genius, of sudden insights, of electricity. So there could be is also so Gemini is also the sign of short term, like local travel, short trips. And I've actually seen engines for motorcycles being put out there that are based on hydrogen cells. And that could totally revolutionize the way we actually get around on a local level over the next 5, 6, 7, 8 years. Um, so that certainly would change things on a fundamental level. I mean, we could be looking at the end of the fossil fuel era, which is very much having to do with earth signs and earth energy. Air signs and air energy is definitely going to be where it's at over the next 20 or so years. It's going to be much more about ideas and communication, and socializing and social causes than historically the way things have been in the past. Now that Pluto is in firmly in the sign of Aquarius, he is retrograde, but he will not be going back into Capricorn again. Not in our lifetimes, unless things really change. We live for a really, really long time. But until then, we've got Pluto in an air sign for the next 20 so years. And so this new moon being at 2 degrees of Leo and working with Uranus at 0 degrees is a sudden spur of inspiration, of socializing, of social change. I'm sorry, I have this like minor allergic reaction happening, and it's just making my nose a little sniffly. So I apologize if I'm like rubbing it a little bit, but I'm here for you, doing what I can. Okay, so there could be these moments of sudden insight, sudden change, sudden inspiration that sort of just come out of the woodwork that can totally change things in a very positive, easy flowing kind of way, because this is a trine that's easy flowing energy. Um, and it's going to be sudden, but there will be a before and there will be an after, and it will just like things will just kind of click into place. Oh, this is what I should have been doing all along. Or the technology and the support systems are now here for me to do the thing I've always wanted to do. And so, with any kind of change on a grand level, and this is grand level change because these are outer planets that are moving, there is, of course, discomfort on the three-dimensional level as these things shift and change, but it is a beneficial change in the long run. So work with it. Be open to opportunities that come your way. Okay, so what else do we have going on? Let's look at Venus and Mars and the nodes here because there's this conversation happening. Venus is in Gemini. She's at 2 degrees, 40 minutes. She's in the 8th house of this chart. That house is probably something different for you. Now she is squaring the South Node and Mars. Mars is almost at 22 degrees of Virgo. Now, these are both mutable signs and they're both very adaptable, but they are wanting different things. And Venus and Mars are the cosmic lovers. They kind of talk to us about how we feel, how we're showing up, how we're collectively motivated at the moment. So Mars in Virgo wants to be practical. He wants an agenda, he wants a timeline, he wants the bills to all be accounted for that timeline and that agenda. And he is nearly conjunct the South Node. The South Node is our comfort zone. It is our past. It is the things that we are comfortable with. And in Virgo, it is controlling. It has a death grip on knowing something. The North Node, on the other hand, all the way over here in Pisces, at 19 degrees of Pisces, is all about letting go of control and trusting in the universe, which is, by the way, the Pisces, Virgo, North Node, South Node axis. The North Node is in Pisces and the South Node is in Virgo, like it is currently, is the most difficult way or nodal setup in the whole zodiac. It just is. So, it is difficult for us to collectively to let go of the things that we know and we want to control. And it is forcing us to just trust. That is difficult to do. But with Mars in the mix, conjunct the South Node. Now the Mars cycle is every 2 years, so we've had Mars conjunct the South Node before, but the last time he was conjunct the South Node, it was likely in the sign of Libra. So Libra was going through a real transformational period during that time, letting go of things that no longer worked for it. Now it's Virgo's turn. Virgo is having to let go of control of things, but Virgo doesn't like to do that. So, but Venus here is confronting that. She is saying, let go of control. Sometimes it's nice not to have to be responsible for all y'all. And so also, FYI, if you have planetary placements at or near 21, 22, 19 degrees of Sagittarius, your personal planets are getting triggered by this. So just heads up, just know what's going on for you. So yeah, I mean, there is this subtle friction coming through that's requiring us to change, to let go of our comfort zone. And on a public, political, geopolitical level, there could be real conflicts coming up during this or right before this new moon event. We historically don't love to see Mars on the South Node because people get really reactive. But I think in this sense, like we are just having to let go of things that no longer work for us. Venus here in Gemini, she is saying, let go, it'll be fine. Just get on with it. And Mars is like, no, 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 I don't want to. So that's sort of the conversation that's happening. How that specifically shows up for you in your life will depend on what houses these are transiting through for you. So whether that's the fifth house or the seventh house or whatever will dictate how that friction actually feels for you. But we're all going to feel it on some level. The good thing here is that we have Pallas. Pallas is now, she's an asteroid. She is all about wisdom and planning. So this is helpful because Pallas is harmonizing with Venus. That suggests that our friends can come to our rescue here to give us some insight, to give us some words of wisdom to help us make a plan. But that Virgo, Mars, and South Node is going to be resistant to what they have to say. But be open-minded and try to let go. That's the key to move forward. So let go of your comfort zone and be open to what people have to say for potential plans or opportunities coming in. So what else do we have going on in this chart? Oh, here's a nice one. We have this lovely little black moon Lilith here. She is at 1 degree Sagittarius, trining this new moon in Leo. So we have a grand fire trine happening between Lilith, who is all about dark feminine energy. She's also a sign of rebellion, by the way. She would not submit to Adam, so she was cast out of the Garden of Eden. So feminine rebellion. And at 1 degree of Sagittarius, that is very much opinionated philosophically. So we are seeing very rebellious feminine energy being called to rise to a powerful leadership position with this new moon in Leo. So that's feminine leadership, coming from a place of philosophical beliefs and being given the support from Saturn and Neptune to rise to the occasion. Now, does this mean that the election results in America will get overturned? Probably not. But there is a sense of the divine feminine rising on some level, and it's a strong one. So it'll be interesting to see what starts to bubble up and play out. Remember, this is the new moon, so it takes about 6 months or so to see the fruition of the seeds that are being planted now. So we'll see what happens in 6 months from now if we have any feminine leaders rise to prominence. So just something to be aware of, to keep in mind. Um, what else do we have going on? Haven't talked about Jupiter yet. Jupiter is at 10 degrees of Cancer, so he's made his way through the first decant of Cancer. So if you have Cancer placements at or near in that first third of Cancer, you've been having a great time, most likely. Joyful, abundant opportunities for expansion and growth. And right now, during this new moon, he is trine to Vesta. She's at 11 degrees of Scorpio right now. And Vesta is the inner knowledge, wisdom that is protective in nature. Now, it's representative of the goddess of the hearth and home. And in ancient Rome, the Vestal virgins were very special members of society. They were virgins. They were tasked with keeping that flame alive. And it was thought that as long as the Vestal flame was burning, Rome would be safe. So these were really guardians of Rome's safety. Now, because they gave up so much earthly carnal pleasures, as Vestal virgins, they were given specific rights within Roman society. So they could own property and they could vote, which many women were not allowed to do. It was a real honor to be a Vestal virgin. And in astrology, it's a strong asteroid that is activating our strength and our wisdom and that internal fire, that thing inside each of us that is hungry for life experiences. Now, while Vesta is in a water sign, and so is Jupiter, they are trining each other in a grand, in a water trine. Water signs are very emotional and intuitive. So there could be wisdom coming from our intuition now. And so stay hydrated and also speak kindly to the water that you drink, because talking to the water can give messages to your own body's cellular functions. So there's a lot of pretty interesting science about that out there if you look for it. Mm. Speaking of staying hydrated, trying to drink some coffee. Yesterday, Mercury went retrograde and it was square my natal Mercury, and it just, man, just like wiped me out. I was planning to do this yesterday and I just had no energy. I just needed to nap and rest. And so here I am today. So what else do we have going on in this chart? Okay, so um, lastly, last thing I'm going to talk about before I switch to meditation intentions is this beautiful little conjunction over here in Aries. So Aries, you're getting some action on the beginning and the end. If you're in the middle somewhere, you're probably not feeling too much right now, but you will as Saturn moves closer and closer. Uh, After he's finished with his retrograde cycle, he will be moving back into Pisces, but eventually he'll move on into the rest of the sign. But if you have planets at or near 27, 24 degrees of Aries, you have Chiron and Eros conjuncting right in that part of your chart. So, I mean, we all have this happening at some part of our chart, but if you've got planets there, then it's going to be especially important and intense. Now, Chiron is the wounded healer, and Eros is eroticism, and it's love and it's passion. So there could be opportunities for healing and self-expression, and healing the wound around self-expression through passion, through physical acts of love. So that could be quite enjoyable. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and stop sharing the screen now. If you have any questions about astrology and want to know where things are happening in your chart and you'd like to schedule a session with me, my calendar is on the website at bloodmoonmilk.com. You can go over there and make an appointment with me, and I'd love to see you. I'll set up a Zoom session. We'll look at your chart. I'll ask, like, you can answer, or you can ask me any questions and I'll answer them for you. I also give everybody a recording of their session, their personalized transits, and an interpretation of their chart that's very in depth. Each first time session is about an hour and 15 minutes long. Follow-up sessions are an hour. And yeah, so I would love to see you if you're interested. So let's shift gears a little bit and think about mindfulness, meditation, and manifestation. Now, we have a beautiful opportunity to start a whole new chapter. And look at your chart, see where 2 degrees of Leo is in your chart. Figure out which house it's in. Figure out your rising sign. It's the sign at 9 o'clock on your birth chart. If you're looking at the chart like a clock face, it's all the way over at where 9 o'clock would be if it was a clock. And the sign there, the symbol there, will determine and tell you what your rising sign is. So we'll start with Aries rising. Aries rising, this would put Leo in your 5th house. Now, this is the house of romance, of love, of creativity, and leadership. So look at old creative projects that might deserve a second chance. Now, we have a lot of retrograde planets now, so I'm definitely looking back at these meditation prompts with a sense of review in mind. It's a great time to start something new, but sometimes that new thing comes from reinventing something old. So revisit creative old projects that deserve a second chance. Reflect on past romantic choices. Were there any red flags or messages that you might have ignored back then that now you understand with greater clarity? I was actually just watching this movie about Natalie Wood, the actress. It was made by her children, and I didn't realize it, but she married the same man twice. So maybe there's a past love that is coming back around to really be revisited in a more serious way. Now, she married Robert Wagner twice. Once when they were very young and just kind of starting out in their careers, and then another time 10 years later. So sometimes exes are exes for a reason, for sure, but sometimes, people grow and they are better for it. So, you know, if somebody's popping back up during this new moon and this retrograde phase with so many planets in retrograde, don't write them off. Wait, take things slow and wait till Mercury goes direct at the very least before you make anything official. But take it with a grain of salt. Give it a chance. And then lastly, Leo rising folks, speak with your own inner child. What was it that you would have loved to hear when you were younger, when you're a little bit more innocent, that you can say now with confidence? And say it from the heart. Really say it from the heart. Okay, Taurus risings. This puts Leo in your 4th house. It's the house of the physical home and abode, but also your mother and feminine energy in general in your life. So reconnect with family stories or childhood memories and think about how they might have shaped your sense of self-worth. and safety. Are there unspoken words or stories or things that have happened that still echo in the space of your childhood home? This could be a chance to voice them and to smooth them out and to learn from them and to start something new and reconsider where and who you feel truly safe with. Now, Gemini rising, this puts Leo in the third house. And so Gemini rising, you're natural communicators already. You do it with a sense of flair. And words in general have power, but really for you right now during this new moon, your words have more power than most. So consider what you've said or not said, because a lot of times what we don't say is speaking really loudly. What is it that needs to be rewritten or resaid in a different tone of voice? Think about that. Also, reach out to siblings or neighbors for reconnection or resolution. Maybe there's some issues that need to be smoothed over. This could be a beautiful time to make that connection. Reevaluate your mental self-talk as well. Is it supportive of your unique individual brilliant contribution to the world? Make sure that you're being kind to yourself internally. Now, Cancer rising. This puts Leo in your second house, which is the house of earned income and values. And a lot of time we connect dollar signs with values, but values can be anything. Is it time? Is it energy? Is it acts of devotion? Rethink your relationship to money and how that is reflective in your sense of self-esteem. Do you feel like you need a certain amount of money in your bank account to feel secure and feel safe, and maybe examine why that might be? Past talents and skills could resurface now and could present you with unexpected opportunities to monetize those and to help you feel more safe and secure. This could also be a really beautiful time to speak affirmations out loud because your voice is a real tool for manifesting value and worth in the world. Now, Leo rising, this is your new moon. It's also your birthday soon, or maybe not. No, it's not your birthday soon. Sorry, scratch that. Leo rising. It is just a rebirth for you as a person, your physical identity. This is a powerful time to reintroduce yourself from a deeper, more authentic, wiser place. Revisit how you've expressed yourself publicly and online in the past. Does that still 100% resonate with you as being authentic? If it doesn't, it's a great time to make adjustments and to address them and use your voice, not to necessarily impress people, but to connect from the heart. It's a beautiful time to share your journey with people, and it could make a huge impact. So take advantage of it. Virgo risings. Now, this is going to be putting Leo in the 12th house. Virgo risings, you're going through some likely difficult challenges at the moment. You've got Mars in the South Node in your first house, but Leo's in the 12th house, the house of the subconscious and hidden enemies. Not this one, though. She's a very sweet girl. She's not an enemy to anybody. But the 12th house is all about dreams in the subconscious and hidden enemies and desires. So think about the things that come up in a subconscious way. Old dreams or subconscious fears could be returning, and try to listen without any judgment. This is a beautiful time to meditate or journal about your issues. Dream journaling could be particularly insightful and helpful right now. And it could also be just a time where you need to maybe sit with a certain amount of silence, because that silence can actually help you to open up and feel more than you would otherwise. So silent retreats could be really valuable right now. So just think about that. Now, Libra risings, right? This would put Libra risings. This puts Leo in the 11th house, the house of hopes, of dreams, of extended community, clubs, and hobbies. So this is a wonderful time to reconnect with old friends or collaborators and maybe reapproach any unfinished ideas that might be returning now. Review your social media presence too. This could be a really good time to reevaluate how you communicate, and make sure that you're really sharing the things that matter most to you. Um, and revisit your dreams for the future. Consider your reality now. Is it the same as it was last year around this time, or have things shifted? It's time, and likely things have changed in some way or another, but it's time to uh, account for that with what you know now. Um, Scorpio rising. This is all about your 10th house. So Leo's in your 10th house, and the 10th house is all about career and public standing and society. So this is a rebirth of that. So rewrite your public narrative. How do you want to be seen and understood by society? How have you evolved since the last time you told your story publicly? And it could be that you're being asked to return to a leadership role or position that maybe you once hesitated to accept. And you can reconsider now how your voice carries influence as that leader, speaking from the heart. Because again, Leo is all about that heart and that loving, heart-centered energy. What message is it that you're ready to refine? Sagittarius rising. This puts Leo in the 9th house, the house of international travel, philosophy, and higher education. Now, this is a beautiful time to reconnect with spiritual or educational paths that maybe you once toyed with, but for some reason got shelved because maybe life and its responsibilities just got in the way. It could be a beautiful time to also revisit writing projects. The 9th house also has to do with publishing. So you could be going back to short story ideas or a novel, something that you've been working on but didn't actually get the chance to finish the way you wanted to. It could be a beautiful time to restart that project up. And you can question your worldview. What belief or philosophy no longer serves the story that you want to live? Now, we all have stories that we tell ourselves about our lives and who we are in the world. So just reconsider if there's something that you tell yourself that's really not true anymore, and let it go. Rewrite your story. Now, Capricorn rising, this puts Leo and this Leo new moon in your 8th house. So that's the house of death, sex, and other people's money and transformation. So reflect on past intimate conversations. Was there something that you didn't say or left unsaid that was misunderstood? Or maybe you said something and it came out the wrong way. Um, this is a good opportunity to kind of clear the air and make sure that you're being heard and seen the way you want to be. Now, I know Capricorn risings, you love control and you like to have everything just so, but don't forget that there is real strength in being vulnerable with the people that you love and you care about in an intimate way. So this is a beautiful time to do that with a certain amount of flair and creativity. Revisit any fears around vulnerability in your power dynamics and your relationships. Um, it could be really helpful to journal on any hidden truths that could be transformational right now to your existence. And Aquarius rising, you have Pluto in your 1st house, most likely, and this puts Leo in your 7th house. So there's this very real tension growing between who you are and your sense of identity and relationships. So exes or past partners could be resurfacing right now. And so ask yourself what lessons or relationships are still asking to be integrated from those relationships. Are they actually, have these people grown, or have they just completely outlived their usefulness in your life? Clarify or revisit relationship conversations that didn't land the first time. Now, reflect on what you really want to hear from somebody. And really think about how you can offer that in return to yourself, because energy is a loop, and if we are able to give the thing that we want to ourselves, we're not as needy to others who show up to be partners, and that lack of neediness creates magnetism, so you can be more attracted to the right person. And lastly, but definitely not least, Pisces risings. This puts Leo in your sixth house, the house of vitality and everyday work. So reorganize your daily schedule. Think about your current energy and not your old past identities. It's a wonderful time to go get a checkup, go to the doctor, make sure everything is in good working order, and make sure that you are on the right track health-wise. And also, you might want to think about reconnecting with past coworkers or old clients. Miscommunications from the past could be clarified and resolved now for a fresh new beginning. So that's what I have to offer you for this new moon in Leo. I hope that you've enjoyed it. Share the show with your friends, subscribe to the Daily Dose. If you want to book a session with me, go over to bloodmoonmilk.com, click the button that says book astrology session. And if you're in New York on August 8th, I'd love to see you at the workshop. And until next time, I wish you all the best the stars have to offer. Thanks. Bye.